Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to the show. All right, let's see what we're at today. Today we're at the 10th of October. We have two signs here, which means void of course, transitioning from one to the other. We're going from Sagittarius, a fire sign, to an earth sign, Capricorn. Fire would be ideas, earth would be form. The way form is made is because we find a practical way to use all of the fire, the water, and the air, and to make it into something practical that we can use down here on the earth. So we're just learning how to work with energy. That's all astrology is. It's just learning at different ways in which energy moves. So we go over to the right here and we see that 10:17 a.m. is our transition time. So right now we're in that transitioning phase as we're going from these ideas, and not just only ideas, but Sagittarius is ideas about truthfulness. And if you look at where we've been going on this trend of truthfulness in the world. All these rallies coming up and this big movement for truth taking place. Now we're moving into Capricorn. Capricorn in the tarot card is the card of the devil, which is about illusion. Needing to look past what we see with our physical eyes, because even though there are the physical world, and even though we are learning how to take the fire, the water, and the air to make them practical in the physical world, we have to understand that that physical world is not the be-all end-all of everything. It is the compilation of the fire, the water, and the air. So we want to make sure when we look at the physical thing, that form, that we don't get caught up in it. We remember what it's created of, not just the form itself. Does that make sense? I hope so. Alright, moving from here to our moon phase, 35% of the way full, making our way upward. Mayan Oracle, which yesterday you heard the piece on Jose Arguelles, so you know where this comes from now. Today is a 6-tone day. 6 tones are called the rhythmic tones of equality, and today we have the kin and the guide are both the same today, which is the sun. The sun is the last of the symbols. There's 20 symbols, and they continue over and over, so we're at the 20th symbol, and the 6th tone. The tone is the moon, the symbol's the sun, and today would be called the rhythmic sun. That is the symbol here, guided by the sun. The phrase is, I organize in order to enlighten, balancing life. I seal the matrix of universal fire with the rhythmic tone of equality. I am guided by my own power doubled. Spaceweather.com. Solar wind is 450.2 kilometers per second. Our planetary K-index is still unsettled between the 2 and the 4. This coronal hole here is nice and large, and notices we're still going to be getting hit with some wind about the 11th through the 13th. That's this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And our M-class possibility, now that has jumped up quite a bit. It was only at 10%, or actually 5%. Now we're up to 25%. And X-class has gone from 1% to 5%. So something is moving up there that might get the sun to be a little bit more active. And we can even see our severity levels here, 40% in high latitudes, mid latitudes, active 30%. So it's quite right now, quieter, but it's going to be getting busy again. Alright, and for a little bit more insight, this is 4-Minute News for today.
Good morning, folks. If you missed the evening news or aren't on the website, we have yet another comet incoming on that same trajectory. Appears to be another Kreutz. Incoming today, so keep watch. Speaking of comets, we'll kick it to ISON. Now, as I was processing the good news about the lack of fracture in ISON yesterday, appears the CIOC was doing the exact same thing. Carl and I literally published these opinions moments apart. And if you check the spaceweather.com ISON gallery, I bet your own eyes will agree with us. Terrific article linked here about a rogue planet they found only 80 light years away. Remember, there are as many of these rogue planets as there are stars in the galaxy, if not more. This one's 6 times the size of Jupiter, and the article is linked for you below, along with 2 from last night. Now, I've mentioned that our climate extremes means that the 80 degrees and tornadoes leading the low-pressure cell followed by crazy cold on the backside was going to get more extreme as it was becoming the new normal. And as if that tornado outbreak wasn't bad enough last week, the backside that was setting snow records out west also caught the farmers off guard. Cattle losses are well over 75,000 head. This also happened to farmers in Uruguay a while ago, with 30,000 dead being underscored as falsely low due to hundreds and perhaps thousands of poorer farmers unable to report or claim their losses. There are 3 tropical concerns flanking the Americas at this point. Still have reason to pay attention to all 3. The Atlantic developer needs the most energy with only a 30% likelihood of being named. Meanwhile, our developers out west are a bit more certain of their fate. Top localized watches in Europe, where they're tasting the snow now as well in parts of the north. For most of you it's just a bit cooler, but the Mediterranean is taking advantage of that mixing air for lightning. We're seeing volcanic upticks at the Kamchatka Peninsula, and steam emissions and intermittent seismicity near the White Island volcano in New Zealand. Solar flaring still not matching its biggest outburst from yesterday morning. The sunspots, though, look to be conspiring. The development seen here is belied by the lack of flaring, and not just with umbral size, but magnetic mixing as well. Furthest out still is definitively Beta Gamma Delta and potentially a reverse spot, although perhaps tied to its smaller lead about 8 degrees to the west. North of that we see magnetics divided, but nearly harmonizing on the leading edge for more. I think that's the guy to watch up top, and actually later you'll see his lightning. We will of course have to watch for more eruptions as the newest sun-diving comet heads in as well. The solar wind speed in yellow has been calming. Same with the geomagnetic storms. Remember, more coronal hole streams are on the way. And speaking of coronal holes, yesterday the power heading into face Earth was substantial. The green opening here as the center of that huge magnetic field bulges out to the left. Well, since yesterday morning, power has been cut almost in half. And take a look at how this huge bulge shrinks along with that green opening down to almost nothing. We had no significant quakes with that power disappearing. Keep watch for a repower up today as they are directly facing Earth. More teasers from our lab. Now, when I told Billy to make some arcs in a vacuum chamber, I didn't think he'd get so creative. Here we see the magnets in the chamber and he's applying the power of a handheld taser. Beautiful, but not quite to his liking, so he took apart a microwave and tried that. Genius. He may want to spread those conductors a bit more, yes? For those who were asking, no, he didn't break into a nuclear facility to get the uranium for our cosmic ray detector chamber. They do require some info, but anyone can get some of this stuff and test it themselves. More of this will be coming on the website, but right now we got SDO and some cool new iris shots of our star to close. Eyes open. No fear, it's 6:25 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
Alright, very good. There she be. Alright, so today the piece is from Danny Wilton. Are you familiar with Danny Wilton's work? I've played some of his pieces from time to time. He does really interesting analysis of star patterns and compares them to ancient symbology. He's pointed out quite a number of real interesting synchronicities between the symbols that we use down here on the planet, circle stars and so on, and esoteric symbology and geometry, sacred geometry and so on. So this is a really good piece because he relates this into Atlantis as well. So I think you're going to like this. Great information here. Check it out. Here we go.
Hey everybody, I got a fun one for you this morning. So I'm looking at Athanasius Kircher. As you guys know, I study him. He was He was the father of Egyptology, or the founder of Egyptology. And he was considered to be a fellow Jesuit compared to Leonardo da Vinci, for one. So the guy was a genius. And so down here it says that basically, because, let's see, Kircher's interest in Egyptology began in 1628 when he became intrigued by a collection of hieroglyphs at the Library of Speyer. He learned Coptic in 1633 and published the first grammar of that language in 1636. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Kircher then broke with interpretation of the language of hieroglyphs with his whatever. Kircher argued that Coptic preserved the last development of ancient Egyptian. For this, Kircher has been considered the true founder of Egyptology, because his work was conducted before the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, rendered Egyptian hieroglyphics comprehensible to scholars. He also recognized the relationship between hieratic and hieroglyphic scripts. So this guy was the founder of Egyptology. He was the guy to go to when you wanted to know something about Egypt. And this is the reason why I've been focusing on him so much, for two reasons. Number one, if you want to know who's hidden something, go to the Jesuits and the Catholic Church. And if you want to know about your past, you got to go back as far as Egypt. So this guy knew what was going on. And you can tell by a lot of his drawings that I've shown you that he knows what's going on. Now I came across this because I went and dug up some of his works. Below you have Athanasius Kircher's map in 1669 that he published in this thing called the Mundus Subterraneus, a book containing a map of Atlantis according to the ancient Egyptian maps. So if anybody knew anything about Egyptian, it was him. And apparently this map of Atlantis right here came from his ancient Egyptian maps. The original map was taken from Egypt by the Romans probably around 30 BC. Okay, so that would make this map probably a pretty decent map. And based on what I'm seeing out here, it very well may be. Well, I found a copy of this Mundi Subterranei book. And let's just zoom in. We're going to take a look at the way this thing looks real quick. Now, what I want you to notice here is that north is pointed in the opposite direction. Okay, because America's over here and Africa's over here. But what you want to notice is where Africa divides, let's just take a look in a comparison. Now I've got this map right here switched backwards, right? But you can see Africa here divides. You can see where these two continents are dividing right here, right? And then here's the good old United States or America right here. And so that means according to this map, and this is facing upside down just like it would be if he were doing it. So that's statistic 1. Okay, the map's upside down correctly. So that means that whatever continents or whatever land masses that we find out there have to meet this based on the way that this thing is turned. So we have to meet the land. We have to find something out there that looks like this, that has these two land masses next to it, and that's basically shaped like this based on the way that this map is turned. Now here's where I think that something's different. I don't believe that this landmass right here was drawn to scale. I think it was meant to draw what the landmass was shaped like. And I believe that these continents were placed here so that you could basically get a bearing as to where to find it. So, basically, if we draw from the dividing point of these two continents out in here, that basically hits it right in the middle. So if we drew it out here like that, then that would mean somewhere around in here is where Atlantis is according to these ancient Egypt maps. Okay, so I'm going to pull up Google Earth real quick. Okay, now you're looking at Google Earth. I've got the world turned upside down. All these lines right here are basically ley lines because I wanted to see if those were playing into it. I can always turn those off though. Let's go ahead and turn the ley lines off. Okay, so this is Africa where it divides right here, and this is America. So that means somewhere out in here is where it was going to be, right? Well, here we go. So, if I compare the two, and I zoom in, this landmass right here, to me, looks like a pretty good match. Because you have these two right here, you have these two right here, and I want you to look at the shape of this landmass. Because what you have, I wish that label wasn't there. What you have is, if you take a look at this side right here and this side right here, and then it comes down, here it is. It comes down at an angle just like this one does. It basically has the whole shape. The whole shape of this landmass looks the same. Now, here's on top of that, check this out. Right next to this thing, we have this thing that looks like a grid. Let me pull it up on a different map because it looks a bit better. Okay, so some of you are familiar with this. This is the landmass we were just looking at right here. Okay, same thing. But then right over here, we have this. And you guys have seen this before. It looks like an underground, or excuse me, an underwater city that used to be there. And so all these things seem to match, right? So we have, it seems to be right in place. There it is right there, and you can see the division of the continents. And here it is, and you've got this grid right here. Now, if I go back over to Google Earth, if you take a look, there's people here that have said this is Atlantis on Google, where that little city was. But this landmass right here matches up to what he's talking about, except for the fact that these islands right here look a little bit different. But the major landmass that I'm seeing right there matches. And that's why I think that what we may be looking at right here is Atlantis. And this is according to Kircher in 1669 that pulled a map from ancient Egypt. So the only thing that's different about this whole thing is that it's just not drawn to scale. But you got to remember that this map is faced the correct. This is faced correct. So I mean, we're looking at it as if it were north-south. Same thing. The landmass matches almost exactly. It's in the right location because of where these continents divide, according to this map right here. And it's even got two little land masses to the right of it right here. Even though they're not straight up and down, that's the only thing that I'm seeing right here that does not line up. But everything else seems correct, except for the scale. But it's obvious that I think that they drew it this way in order to show you the shape of the landmass rather than to show the size compared to the other continents. And that's what I think we're looking at right here. I think this is Atlantis right here. So, anyways, fun. I just wanted to show you all that. Y'all take care. Talk to you soon.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. 4 stories today. Story number 1, this takes us back to some old NASA photographs, and this is a great source because people are going through and doing some research in the pictures, looking at them and finding images in there that weren't normally seen before, or the pictures weren't published before. Anyway, in this particular one, we have a ring UFO found in Gemini 5 mission photos. Looks just like that. Okay. The Gemini 5 mission was called 8 Days of Bust mission. They had to endure life in space for 8 days, which is the time it would take a mission to fly to the moon, land, then come back to Earth. It was a test so that they would know what they needed to do and how it would affect the astronauts. Later, Conrad said that he would wish they had brought a book along to help pass the time. Okay, there's our object. Again, this ring UFO looks to be very close to the Gemini module in Earth's orbit. Its detail is good enough that we see that it does have seams in place. The object seems to have an aura, making it some visibility of its edges difficult. As I have said before, one of the three types of metal that make up structures in UFOs is a white ceramic-like material in appearance. This looks to be one of them. Alright, then again, a little video down here. Showing images, pictures. Alright. It's pretty interesting. And again, as more people study these pictures, there's more objects that are discovered up there in the space. Alright, moving from there. This one is a September 29th sighting, but this one has to do with a possible creature. Possible alien creature seen in park and church roof tops in Santiago, Chile. There it is right there, the creature. On September 29th, around 2100 hours near Bustamante Park in downtown area, a strange flying creature was seen flying from one tree to another. Its size was estimated around 2 meters tall and shaped like a manta ray. Ignacio, a young man who was privileged witness to this brief yet disconcerting flying being sighting, does not wish to disclose his identity, but made his narrative available to journalist Juan Andres Salafare on Canal La Red. His description is specific, remarking that the entity had wings from the upper part of its body down to its lower part. He made a drawing of what he saw, which we present in this report. And there's his drawing. Eyewitness testimony soon appears in other places in Santiago. A witness named Sylvia confirmed the image of the human-looking flying manta ray in Los Barachia commune. Someone even stated the following by email from a location near Bustamante Park. They said, "My wife and I saw the creature in one of the towers of San Francisco Church in Santa Isabella. And I was eating something similar to a dog. It was eating something similar to a dog. I think that if you inspect this tower, you'll find that it remains. Unfortunately, I have no evidence to give you beyond the point of my wife's report." Alright, so, very interesting sighting we have here. Okay, and this is the interview of the person who saw it. Alright, let's get one more, see if we catch that one more time. Very interesting. Alright. That is our sighting. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, this one is over at Newark, Ohio on the 9th, just the other day. Really fast, bright UFO, unidentified object was seen and recorded in the daytime above Newark. Okay, we've certainly seen bright ones before. This one's pretty bright the way it looks. It's hard to really tell what it is. But it looks as if it is the... Well, no, this is it right there. The source of the object and all the smoke. It is not the orb. The orb is watching. Wondering again, what are you silly humans doing to each other down there? Okay. Next one here. This is a story a grandmother tells. Grandmother's family secret. Woman was in her 90s, in the early 1990s, when she made these statements about an old family story. This grandmother was sworn to secrecy not to tell a soul about the UFO flying saucer that was seen by her family. She has since passed away, but the video was made to ensure that there was a record of the sighting. It has become registered by MUFON. Let me play this for you here. Alright, here we go. Very interesting story. She said it's tape from my great-grandma.
Forgot my mother name and And I was too young when he was popping on and telling me all that stuff. I didn't think I'd ever need to know about it.
But he told me one thing. I wasn't supposed to repeat it all my life, and I didn't until the other night. I told it to a friend of hers. I don't know what'll happen to me because I done it. He forbid me to about this.
He'll forgive you.
See, he come running in the back door. He was plowing way over there in the field, about 3 miles away. I was sick that day, and Mom said I couldn't take his dinner to him. I was terrible sick. She said, you can't go. Frank, she said, you're going to have to take your dinner. So she packed his lunch. So he come running in the back door, just out of breath. He said, Josephine, get out in front. I want to show you something. And here come this big brown flying saucer going around and around. And he told me all about it. Told me how they was dressed, how they was. He said, you should have been there. You could have seen it. And he said, I forbid you to tell Catherine, George, your mother, I don't want you to ever repeat this tale. Because they'll make fun of us. They make fun of me. He said, I've seen it. It must have landed over
I've
there.
heard of the flying saucers.
It was. He said, we live in a gravel pit. And I want you to go real slow.
We always call it
And
the
that
gravel
thing was
pit.
going around and around, and I must have been about 10 years old, and he said, don't you ever repeat this to anybody. I told it the other night to her friend. He forbid me to repeat it to anybody. I never did. I kept it.
Well, a lot of people won't believe it.
He said, I said, how are they dressed, Dad? And he says, they're not dressed, but he says, you should have been there. You missed a lot. And then he says, now I'll go back. He said, I'm resting a while. He said, now I got to go back. I tied the mules to a fence post, and he said, I hope they're there. He said, you should have been there. You should have brought my dinner. You'd have seen this. I said, maybe I'd have got on with him. He said, well, they might have took you. That's what my doctor says. I'm not real. What am I?
But you
Everybody,
were down.
he tells me, he says, I can't leave you.
Now these are the, this was Will, and this is all the children that he had. See, there were 9 of them, I think.
Nine. Well, they had 12. My dad said that.
Very interesting, huh? So imagine how many other grandmothers and great-grandmothers there are out there who might have some secrets to tell. So perhaps we need to start asking the older generation what they might know about UFOs, because maybe they've been holding some secrets for a long while. Anyway, that's the UFO news. I'll be right back. I have a bunch more stories and some other subjects. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Government should be afraid of them.
Okay. Government should be afraid of its people. Right now, we don't certainly have that case. We have a situation where the government seems to not even care what the people are saying. Now, they don't need to be afraid as if the people are going to beat them. They need to be afraid for their jobs, because that's how it should work, that the people should be holding accountable those who are in authority, not just here in this country, but all around the United States, around the rest of the world. If you're in a leadership position and you're representing the people have the right to hold you accountable, to take care of them. So we got some situations this weekend. We're going to have to keep monitoring, see how they're going to develop. We certainly have the truckers. You may have heard that now because it is making its way onto the mainstream news. So they're probably already out on the road today, making their way to Washington. Probably going to be more stuff going on around the country, things that I'm hearing. I'm going to be checking the forums and staying on top of it. And as I know more, I'll be posting stuff. One thing that's going on is the veterans. The veterans are marching. They're really getting irritated by all of the events that are taking place and the disrespect that's happening. So let me show you this website first, and then I'm going to go to a video. This is Oath Keepers. It says, urgent call to action, calling all Oath Keepers and all veterans to support World War II veterans at memorials to assist them in whatever they want to do. It goes on to say, calling all Oath Keepers and any veterans to back up our World War II veterans at the Washington, D.C. area memorials, such as the World War II, the Iwo Jima Memorial, the Arlington Cemetery, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and anywhere else that the honor flights go. Go there and put yourselves under the command of the World War II vets. If they want the barricades down, they should come down, come hell or high water. No World War II vet should be denied access to the Iwo Jima Memorial, the W2 World War II Memorial, or any other memorial they want to visit. For many of them on these honor flights, this will be their last trip to go and pay respect to their brothers who did not make it back. It is intolerable to let Obama block access for his petty partisan manipulations over government shutdown. All right, there's a lot more to that, but you're going to hear more about Oath Keepers, how they're getting involved, because you've already heard they're encouraging these groups to be put together, these little A-team groups, or around the A-team idea. To get involved with here. Now I want to show you Stewart Rhodes himself, and this is him. This is a 43-minute interview. I'm just going to play a sample of when he first gets talking here. He's here with Alex Jones. Listen to this.
Stewart Rhodes, founder of Oath Keepers, oathkeepers.org. Organization is exploding. Your military contacts give you the same info we get. Half the military is awake right now. It's accelerating. The enemy is in crisis. Stewart Rhodes.
Yeah, at least half of them. In fact, among special warfare personnel, it's more like 75%. And this is the problem they have, is the powers that be understand that there's now a growing, sizable percentage of the population who can no longer be fooled. They've taken the red pill. They see what's going on, and they're no longer manipulable with their false flags or their use of fear. So they know that their time is limited. Given enough time, we will prevail. It could wind up like 1989 East Germany, where you had a mass stand down of the military and a mass stand-up of the people, and without the support of the military, the Stasi are running and hiding because they couldn't overpower the people. There's no way they could do it. So that's possible, but I think that before we get to that tipping point of that mass awareness, which we will if we're allowed the time, I think they'll try to pull the plug on the economy. It's all they have left. They have their Armageddon option of the economic neutron bomb, collapse the dollar, kill the dollar, blame it on the Chinese, especially under the cover of a war with Syria. They could say, hey, we entered Syria to get rid of chemical weapons, and the Russians and Chinese retaliated economically.
They wanted that war as political cover, but now that's failing. Their gun grab failed. I mean, they're desperate.
So, but they still could pull out the plug on the economy and kill the dollar and start a run on the dollar worldwide. And that could be potentially as destructive as a nuclear exchange or an EMP strike, because if you kill the economy, Americans don't have food storage. Americans are the most unprepared population on the face of the earth.
That's been done by design. They've encouraged that.
Absolutely. They prepared themselves. Relentlessly, they've been putting in place mechanisms for control, all the weapons they would need, all the armored vehicles they would need, and all the ammunition they would need to control us or kill us.
Did you see that Marine Corps colonel that went public and said they're redeploying everything against us?
Absolutely. You bet. Yeah. And anybody who's been in military training understands logistics. Logistics wins the battle. It's not, you got to be a rifle and run out in the street like Brady.
It's mass and supply chain and then initiative.
It's logistics. And so on our side, they are preparing the future battle space on their side for their benefit. On our side, we need to be careful about being distracted with all this bombardment of negative information, or they're doing this, they're doing that. Let's go protest here, let's go protest there. But be careful about that, because we only have so much blood in our bodies. A good analogy is that they're hooked up to an unlimited blood bank through Soros or through the Federal Reserve, like you just said. You know, the funding for NPR is billions of dollars versus what do we get? On our side, it's individuals who have to fund our campaigns. And so be careful what you go and spend your money on, or your time and your sweat, because you only have so much. And so rather than running around protesting everywhere, sometimes protests make a big difference. I think the symbolic virtue of the veterans in Washington, D.C., the World War II veterans, kicking down the barricades and going in anyway is very valuable. Something like that is worth getting behind.
Sure, Second Amendment, nullification. I mean, I think it's full spectrum. Get ready yourself, but also be on the offensive in the info war. I say do everything.
Sure, but be careful about spending all your time just running around waving a sign. They want you to do that. What they don't want you to do is, in your local areas, stand up.
Oh, I agree. You need to be going to talk to the police chief and warning them, giving them info, finding out, getting intelligence where they stand. You need to be getting with the military veterans, preparing for not fighting, but preparing to be leaders in your area.
Absolutely. That's why we started a new initiative within Oath Keepers. We're calling it the Civilization Preservation Teams. and the whole focus is on getting our community squared away at the very bottom, right down in the neighborhood watches, right down in the veterans halls in particular.
Because we've gotten the guns and the ammo. Now we need to really do the boots on the ground, ready to take care of our neighbors. That'll put us in the leadership position immediately.
The logistics. You need to have the ability to feed your neighbors, to have communications, to have clean water and power, and to have emergency medical care.
Because, by the way, when stuff collapses, they're coming anyways.
Right, that's what you need. That's what you need. Look at any hurricane, any tornado, any natural disaster. What do you wind up needing? You need clean water, you need shelter, you need a way to keep warm, and you need medical care and food. Those are things you need. So why not get that squared away in your own neighborhood right now so you are able to take care of things, you are able to be the force for good in your community rather than them all being desperate and scared and relying on FEMA coming in who says, hey, yeah, sure, we'll give you food, turn in your guns, turn in your neighbors.
And the police are already priming the pump all over the country, in Detroit and L.A., saying, we'll give you grocery money for your guns.
You bet. You'll get the EBT card if you turn in your neighbor, if you turn in your guns. So we need to make sure that we are strong. If you have a squared away community, it's much more likely the National Guard will refuse the orders, the police will refuse the orders, and the active duty military in particular will say no to gun confiscation.
But they plan on having all the welfare folks riot, where if you're not ready, you'll beg the military in.
Well, sure, and not just welfare folks. Average Americans who go to 9-to-5 jobs right now have how much food in their house?
2 days.
3 or 4 days at the most. Right, probably more like 2 days. So wait a week, 2. They're just as desperate as any.
And the globalists admit they've done all this by design, getting us ready like the Ukraine under the Soviets.
All right, that's where I'm going to leave it because there's a lot more to it. It's a 43-minute interview, but listen to the rest of it. It's very interesting. You know, shouldn't surprise you because, you know, you're paying attention. But there are going to be a lot of people surprised by what's going on because, you know, there's a lot of people surprised by this these days. You know, I find that as I go through the forums and I'm reading more stories about Obamacare, I'm seeing more outrage coming from Democrats now. First it was just Republican side, as would be expected, because they always go against whatever the other side's doing, but now I'm starting to see Democrats, and a lot of the complaints that keep coming up is they thought it was free. They thought this was free health care. Now they have to pay. Well, they thought someone else was going to pay, and so it's ruffling a few feathers out there because they're finding out that they've been lied to. Who could have saw that coming, right? Who could have seen that Obama was lying to them? I'm telling you, there's only a lot of people on the internet and all the word, right? We should know. So here's this website again, oathkeepers.org, so you can keep on top of what's going on there. Now let's switch gears over here to ISON, Comet ISON, because it's another thing that's happening in our world. Very surreal, all these things going on. This says Red Wing V showing in tip of ISON. Well, we're going to let that go through there. Red Wing tip showing in a tip of ISON. So let's look at this here.
We're looking at a new image of ISON. This is the natural color in the image. And some comets will glow that green color, guys, because of diatomic carbon. That's what they've said on some of the other comets. You never know for sure, but I wanted to look at just the tip, because in the last video it was showing that we had at least 3 objects, and as I get this closer you'll see that maybe there's more than that, just looking at the tip and not into the rear coma. But guys, no matter what I do to this, as I zoom up now on this brand new image, this is what I'm getting in the front. I don't know, you tell me. It's again, I'm going to just go through the brightness and the amount of exposure, the intensity, and the color temperatures, just like I normally do when I go through and looking for objects inside the comet itself. And I'll zoom that up and show it to you. But guys, this legend, and you saw at the beginning of the video, does this have anything to do why the world government's in a panic now? I mean, I didn't go into this video to show that red wing or that red V at the front of this. I went into, and I'll show you as we go through this, what I was looking for. But when it stares you in the face, I've got to show it to you. I've zoomed it up, and I'm changing some of the temperatures, and you're starting to see some of the objects in just the tip of the coma. I'll pull this up and get a little closer. But again, look at the object in the front. These are color temperatures changing just like you're picking up the objects there. Now again, we're focused just on the tip, not the rear of the coma cloud itself. I don't know, guys. I thought I'd throw it out there. You tell me. Heads up.
All right, so there you go. There's some of the latest stuff on ISON, on what it is. But there's more. Now, this isn't ISON. This is another planet, because the cosmos is the place that keeps giving and giving. And NASA, well, really, they don't have all the answers. NASA, never a straight answer. That's one of the things people say. And they don't have all the answers. And maybe that's good that they're off right now, because amateur astronomers can step to the forefront a little bit more on the information they're putting out, because there's more truthfulness and sharing of information. So over the years, as you recall, there's been a steady increase in findings of different comets and asteroids and planets, and sometimes the planets, they'd be out there out of our system, and then sometimes they talked about these rogue planets that would dip in and out of our system, and then there was a planet behind Pluto, and planets come in and going, and so it's like there slowly is a disclosure about what's taking place. So here we have a strange lonely planet found without a star. An international team of astronomers has discovered an exotic young planet that is not orbiting a star. This free-floating planet, dubbed PSO J318522, is just 80 light-years away from Earth and has a mass only 6 times that of Jupiter. The planet formed a mere 12 million years ago, a newborn in planet lifetimes. It was identified from its faint and unique heat signatures by the Pan stars, which is the Wide Field Survey telescope in Halakala, Maui. Follow-up observations using other telescopes in Hawaii show that it has properties similar to that of gas giant planets floating, orbiting around young stars. Yet PSO J318.5-22 is all by itself, without a host star. We have never before seen an object free-floating in space that looks like this. It has all the characteristics of young planets found around other stars, but it is drifting out there, alone, explained team leader Michael Liu of the Institute for Astronomy at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I had often wondered if such solitary objects exist, and now we know they do. Remember all the people that laughed at the theories of Zecharia Sitchin or Eric von Daniken when they talked about these planets that were out there? Well, again, NASA doesn't know everything, because things are discovered just like this. Which brings us to this next article here, it's called Don't Believe Your Eyes. The whole point is that we live in a world where there's a lot of opportunity to create illusion these days, from software to manipulate audio and video to images that we see. So when we're looking not only images we see in photographs and television screens, but also holographic technology. So we really have to pay close attention. And if we think to the words of the Bible and other books of prophetic books, they all talk about needing to see past the illusions, not getting caught up in the illusions at the end of times. So a lot of illusion around us. So this article here is a pretty good one, because it shows a variety of different ways in which images are manipulated. It says Matthew Albanese, an artist, is fascinated with special effects and magic. He owns a stunning artwork collection of photographs that will blow your mind with their realistic presence. On the left side in the gallery you can see the final image, and on the right you will be able to see how the image was created using its special effects. Scroll down and enjoy today's gallery. So this is what the final image is. This is how he did it. So we see all kind of images on television, pictures that we've seen, and debunkers jump up right away. Oh, those things can't be faked. Well, look how easy some of these things can be faked. Okay? This picture's not even underwater, yet here's a picture where it looks like it's underwater. And so this is all possibilities that exist these days. We really do need to pay close attention to what we're seeing. Because believe it or not, there are shills and those out there who just want to try to debunk or disinform. And here, look, this could be the surface of the moon. It says it took 2 months to store up enough fireplace ash to create this lunar landscape. The darker rocks are made of mixed tile grout, flag, crumpled paper, and wire. The Earth is video still projected onto the wall. Look at this. You're on the moon. Alright, it's pretty fascinating. There's a couple more here. You can go through and just take your time looking at them. It just goes to show we're able to create a lot of different things. There's Mars made with paprika. Paprika, cinnamon, nutmeg, chili powder, and charcoal. Alright, so just because the government shows us something doesn't mean we have to believe it, because as we can see, there's a lot of trickery, and as we're learning more and more, there's a lot of unfortunate trickery and deception from aspects of our government. You know, I don't believe governments are all bad. I believe that there's rogue elements that are out there in the same way that there's rogue planets, and these rogue elements unfortunately are affecting those decision makers that are assisting them, and you know, we need to make that change. The voting process doesn't work though. Okay, we have to understand what's really happening in this country, what works, what doesn't. To keep believing that we can vote someone in and out of office, it's no longer a sensible thing, because the voting system as it is isn't working. We have to almost start from scratch. We in this country have many successful businesses and many successful individuals who know how to run and properly put a system together. That's what we need to do. Scrap the one that's not working and put a new one together that is in support of our Constitution. I think that we can do that, and I think there's enough who want to do it. We just have to get rid of the ones that don't. Now, GMOs are very important that we understand how we can be affected by them. It says food scientists are shedding light on items with toxins and chemicals and simple swaps for a cleaner diet and supersized food. Clean eating means choosing fruits, vegetables, meats that are raised, grown, and sold with minimal processing. Often they're organic, and rarely, if ever, should they contain additives. But in some cases, the methods of today's food producers are neither clean nor sustainable. The result is damage to our health, the environment, or both. So we decided to take a fresh look at food through the eyes of the people who spend their lives uncovering what's safe or not to eat. We asked them simple questions. What foods do you avoid? Their answers don't necessarily make up a banned food list, but reaching for their suggested alternative might bring you better health and peace of mind. So I thought this was an interesting list just to see. Here we have an endocrinologist. He won't eat canned tomatoes. Problem is because the resin lining of the tin can contains bisphenol. Here we have a farmer who won't eat corned beef. I'm just going to zip through these here. The toxologist won't eat microwave popcorn. Farm director won't eat non-organic potatoes. Fisheries expert won't eat farm salmon. Cancer researcher won't drink milk produced with artificial hormones. Organic food expert won't eat conventional apples. So very interesting to see what's out there. That way you kind of know what to stay away from and what have you. Alright, I want to show you a site which I hope becomes something that is very user-friendly for everybody. Wanting to expand things more here at First Contact Radio, and we're in the process of doing that. So we've created a forum, and if you're at the website, firstcontactradio.com, you'll see one of the buttons up there is a button that says forum, and if you click on it, you will go to our firstcontactradio.com/firstcontactforum. And here you could see there are a variety of topics and areas I've already started to put together. Category of spiritual philosophy and some topics, UFOs, ETs, esoteric science, conspiracy theory, outer space, I mean, these aren't all the subjects. These are ones just to get started. I have a breaking news section here. So all you do, you go to the thing, click on it, click on new topic, and you can go ahead and type in what it is. If you don't want to use a username, you don't have to register. You can just put anonymous. You can put anything you want in there, and you can put your news. So as things are taking place over the course of this weekend, I'm going to keep updates going on here, and want to see if we can get this thing going and keep a conversation going. Also, what I want to develop is this link right here. This will be a place where I can be interactive when I'm on the air, and that way, as questions and things come in, we can interact about stuff. All right. So just posted that up there today. So I'm going to be posting up there, and we'll see if we can get this thing developed and get a nice community of those who wish to have some good conversations about things away from the Facebooks and all of that stuff. All right. So there you go. Forum. It's the button just on the top tab there. firstcontactradio.com. All right. From there, let's jump over to our message today. This is from Salusa. Here we go.
Salusa, Reunion of Soulmate and Twin Flames.
October 6, 2013, by Laura, Multidimensional Ocean. We come again to say how much we admire your resolve and work for the light. We know how seriously you all take this earthly assignment. We know that you will never fall to the dark side, and we know that you are and will remain pure love and light in pretty much any circumstances and environment. You have accepted your mission for the light, regardless for the consequences to your earthly life. You have been placed there, sometimes in the most difficult circumstances or in war zones, so that you can bring your loving vibrations with you to Mother Earth, so that you can inspire those around you and that you can lift their spirit and bring them hope and light, where before there was none to be found. You are a light beacon in the middle of the darkness, the lighthouse in the middle of storms. You are peace and love, when you are surrounded by fear, war and sadness. Your heart is with us most night, but also most of the days. When you don't even suspect it. Open your eyes and heart to the invisible world all around you, feel the angelic presence, know of their walking among you and with you. As the northern hemisphere is heading deeper and deeper into the longer nights, go within and find your own inner sun beaming love and light on your life and showing the way to others. Do not forget that as well as the angelic and galactic presence, you all have your own higher self to guide your very step, to illuminate your life and your soul. Connect with your higher self more and more as you are heading for the winter months. This is the best opportunity to find your higher self, without any outer distraction, as you will spend more and more time indoors from now on. Trust that the sun will be waiting for you and that the days will grow longer again in a couple of weeks. The sun is still there, it still brightens up the entire universe. Your higher self will also take you to places that it has not taken you for a long time before. It will help you reconnect with many other soulmates from past lives. You will recognize each other instantly as the love that laid dormant through death time will awaken within your heart again. This is a time when many of you will realize that there has been something missing from their life, perhaps a sense of adventure, perhaps love, perhaps a fulfilling partnership. These encounters will also give way to much healing in your soul, and to much hurt that was done to you throughout the times living in physical separation from your soulmates or from your twin flame. Let the reunion times begin, but be careful not to be swept away by the gate of heaven opening upon you, dear ones. Do not forget your duties, your responsibilities towards your loved ones and towards yourself. Even when you will be apart from your newfound soulmate or twin flame, you will continue to experience their love and their presence subconsciously or consciously thanks to your higher self. I am Salusa from Sirius and wish you a wonderful reunion time with your twin flame and your soulmates. Thank you. Salusa.
Alright, very nice message of meeting our twin flames. Alright, this is the angel message for today, and the message is: we bring you a smoother path and some peace. Take heart. Alright, positive message between the twin flames and the smoother path. Can't go wrong with that. Always gotta like a smoother path. And that brings us to our meditation for the day. So, let's go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And one more. Now, I want you to imagine that you are looking out at the world. And you're looking out at the world and you're feeling alive and vibrant with life. You feel the energy moving through all of your chakras, from the head all the way down to the spine. You feel yourself connected to the earth, to the cosmos. And as you feel this connection, you begin to understand even more the connections and the relationships that you have with those you have not even met yet in this particular lifetime, but those that you have known in other places, in other times. And as you recall this, you find yourself moving in synchronicity towards more moments of meeting some of these souls from other lives. Twin flames, friends, family members. And as we move through life, feeling these connections with people we meet, understanding the deeper, long-standing relationship through the lifetimes, we understand the connections that we all have are even more than we've possibly imagined. And as we understand these connections and realize that we are all moving forward in the same direction, we begin to work smoother and more peacefully with each other. As we understand our connections, we realize the things that we do to help ourselves and the things we do to help others are very similar. For when we do things to help others, we help ourselves. When we do things to help ourselves, it helps us to become stronger, thereby allowing us to help others, or by providing an example. But ultimately we learn to help ourselves and to help others is the best way to go. Because that way we take care of who we are to nurture ourselves so we can continue on helping. And so as we understand our connections and we help each other along the way each and every day, we find that the world that we wish to create is possible to all of us. A world of positivity, a world where the fears and the doubts dissipate, and love and faith become the cornerstones of everyone's life. So let's imagine right now sending love all around the planet. Think of the word love and just see it circling around the planet. Imagine the color green, like from the heart chakra. Imagine this love being absorbed down into the planet and up into the cosmos. And so let our subconscious mind now continue on this journey, and as we continue on, let us look for those connections in the world. Let us open our minds and our hearts to recognize those we have known through other lifetimes. Let us recognize our connection and our oneness with each other. And let us just understand the love that we all have in common with each other. So let the subconscious mind continue on that journey, and let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And go ahead and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. I want to add one last thing. I'd like to say a little prayer for the world, for America. There's a lot going on this weekend. I just pray that cool heads prevail, and that as we go through this experience, we find our strength, and we find that what we have lost becomes found, and that we are able to stand up. So let's be safe, everyone. Things are going to start moving in place today, since tomorrow is the beginning of this truck event. So check the forums. I'm going to be posting things as I know, and we'll just keep going from there. All right, that's it. Be safe. Have fun. Love ya. Talk to you soon. I'm out of here. Peace.